Well, are you ready to create yourself? I hope so, because we're about to give you instructions. We're about to give you inspiration. I hope that will help you decide to create yourself. And only you can create yourself, but we can do our best to give you the uh, tools you need to do so today. Psychosomatic illness and white Dianetics. If you haven't done so yet, please check out the white Dianetics playlist. It's on the link included in the chat room. And when you go there, you will see a link on the chat, on the actual playlist itself, where you can go to get Dianetic materials pre-1972 that contain the white Dianetics and not the black Dianetics. It's very, very important. Tonight at 10 p.m., ladies and gentlemen, we will be with you for a live late night in the heartland. Tonight is going to be an outstanding night to be with us. You are not going to want to miss this. You don't want to miss any of them, frankly. But tonight is going to be even more amazing because tonight we're going to talk about so much good stuff. We're going to talk about President Al Gore, who we thought was for 37 days. We're going to talk about the 12th and the 20th Amendments. We're going to talk about a certain statistical norm that was blatantly violated. We're going to talk about what has been happening. We're going to give you some good information about anti-Western values, socialist Marxist agenda, the Trump warnings that fell on deaf ears. And we're going to talk about the all ground, no pound from the Democrats and let you know that Joe Biden is not the end game. Joe Biden is not the end game. So, ladies and gentlemen, that comes up tonight at 10 p.m. But now, just as importantly, and maybe even more importantly, we get to our subject, which is psychosomatic illness and white Dianetics. I do want to remind you, and of course, I don't have one of the books with me. Oh, because I put them on anyway. Well, we have the book offer. It's if you want to support the shortwave, and that is a $20 minimum or more. Obviously, send it in to Jeffrey Daugherty through jeffreydaugherty.com or through the paypal.me/lowercase Jeffrey Daugherty or capital on the J and the D only, and send me your address and we'll get you out that book. You're not buying the booklet, but you are helping out with the shortwave, and I'm saying thank you for that. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. And I signed all the books. I got them all packaged up. That's why I don't have one. I'll have to pull one out so we can show it to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, psychosomatic illnesses and Dianetics. This is going to be very, very interesting. And we should say white Dianetics, because there's a great difference between Dianetics and white Dianetics. We appreciate each and every one of you being here. We appreciate all of your comments, and we appreciate all of your input. And of course, it's very important for you to include your address. That's the only way I can get the book to you. Now, what is a psychosomatic illness? A lot of us kind of know what it is, but we don't really know what it is. A psychosomatic illness is one of those illnesses that really exists in your mind, and yet it manifests in organic symptoms. We all know people that are, and some of us are people that are, what's that word called? Hypochondriacs. They've got everything, they've had everything, and what they haven't had, they're going to get. That is a psychosomatic illness. People that think they're sick will wind up sick. If you think you are someone that has cancer, you're going to wind up as being someone that has cancer. It's even that serious. So illnesses that have a mental origin but are nevertheless organic. And let me just share with you, if you are thinking that you have something, if you think about it enough, you will have it. So that is a great caution. And conversely, if you think you're healthy, guess what? You're going to be. Now, Dianetics itself, white Dianetics, entirely embraces this class of illnesses, psychosomatic, and this isn't a typo, it eradicates them entirely. It eradicates them entirely in every case. We have a little discussion in the chat room. Brandon mentions Munchausen by proxy. Tracy says that's different. It's a parent causing illness in their children. It is different, but yet it's the same, because illnesses, folks, over 70% of illnesses are caused by engrams. So it all feeds into the same thing. Tracy's right. Brandon's right. And it's very interesting. There's a lot of nuances in this. But Dianetics embraces the class of psychosomatic illnesses and eradicates every single one of them in every case. Jeff, why do you push Dianetics? Because it works every single time. Not most of the time, not part of the time, not 99% of the time. White Dianetics works 100% of the time. In my experience, in the experience of L. Ron Hubbard, and in the experience of many other practitioners of white Scientology. And it is Ron Hubbard's estimation, and I concur with it, that about 70% of the current roster of physician-diagnosed diseases and ailments fall into the psychosomatic category. Think of that. 7 in 10, I think that's low, fall into this psychosomatic category. Transgender children are most likely, we'll put in likely just for, because we're not doctors, but I agree with Tracy. Transgendered children are most likely cases of Munchausen by proxy. Think of that. I think it's true. But over 70%, I think 80, 85% of physician-diagnosed diseases and ailments fall into the psychosomatic category. But we can't fall into the trap, the Christian Science line of all illness is psychosomatic. All illness is not psychosomatic. When we start using words like all, in every, we have to be very careful, because all illness is not psychosomatic. There are still such things as pathogens. And there are still such things as poor nutrition. There are still such things as poor sanitation. There are still such things as stinking thinking. Then there are still things that can spoil a host environment. That's what we are. We are a host environment, and lead to sickness. And of course, much of this could well be engramic based, and it is. And therefore, it goes right back to being psychosomatic. Folks, we're big people here. We're big boys and we're big girls. And in the time it takes you to type a question into the chat room, like what's this or what's that, you can type the same thing into a search engine and get the answer for yourself. Jeff, why do you always come down on people? Because I'm trying to help people. I'm not just looking for subscribers. I'm not just looking for money. I am looking to help freaking people. And when a nice lady sits in a chat room and says, what is this? That nice lady needs to grow the hell up and find her own damn answers instead of asking other people. Jeff, why do you get mad? I'm not getting mad. I'm getting passionate. Why do you call people out? Because I love people. If I didn't care about her, I wouldn't call her out. Don't ask a question in a chat room that you can ask on a search engine and get your own information. Why ask somebody to give you dinner when you can make your own dinner and become independent? I'm sorry, but that had to be said. All illness is not psychosomatic, but a lot of it comes from our own poor decisions and can therefore have its origin in psychosomatic illness. Now, let's talk about germ theory. Let's talk about host theory. And let's talk about Dianetics theory. Okay? Germ theory, host theory, Dianetic theory. We have a video on germ theory versus host theory, but it almost got me kicked off of YouTube. So I think it's behind the Cousins Club wall at my website. It might be on the website. You can go take a look at that. We have many free videos on the website as well. So Louis Pasteur pioneered the incorrect germ theory. Germ theory is Wrong. Germ theory, thank you, Trace says it was a great video. Germ theory is the underpinning of the sick care system. Germ theory is the underpinning of the sick care system. And Béchamp pioneered the host theory. Host theory basically means that if we keep ourselves healthy and we eat the right things and we do the right things, we're not going to get sick. Germ theory is what has people running around with diapers on their faces. Germ theory has people running around with diapers on their faces, afraid of this and afraid of that, and actually causing themselves to get sick. You understand, I hope, from the information that's been presented, that wearing a mask makes you sick. Wearing a mask will make you sick, and we're about to start coming into many, many sick people, especially our young people, unfortunately, because they've been wearing masks for all these months. According to Occupational Health and Safety Administration, wearing a mask drops you below the oxygen that you need to be safe. And this dose and whist is Munchausen by proxy. Parents putting mask on their kids, and the masks hold bad particles, hold pathogens, and you're rebreathing stuff that your body is intentionally breathing out. Do you understand why your body exhales stuff? Because it's used up. Your body takes in air, fresh air. And I don't mean to make this about this, but your body breathes in fresh air. You breathe in fresh air. Your body takes the oxygen out of that air. Your body takes the nutrients out of that air. And I did say nutrients. You get nutrients just by breathing fresh air. It brings in the good stuff. It brings in the nutrients, and it pushes out the pathogens and the things that are in the body that it wants to get rid of. But you, because you're so smart and because of the medical establishment that loves you so much, have a mask on your face which traps that particulate. Now, most of it is small enough to just go right through the mask, but there is a great deal of it that gets trapped in that mask, great deal of particulate. And then you breathe it back in. It makes no sense at all. Somebody asked me, why doesn't OSHA do something about it? Do you really have to ask that question? Why doesn't OSHA, part of the deep state, do something about it? Because they want you sick. They want you tired. They want you diminished, and they want you controlled. Somebody in the chat room said that your mouth is like the tailpipe in your vehicle, and it really is. And with a mask on, you're essentially sucking a tailpipe, and that's going to kill you. They want us sick, as Kimber Ellie says very, very profoundly, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we have, and where you see italics, that's not Ron Hubbard anymore. That's me. Where you see we have germ theory, you see we have host theory, and now I offer to you white Dianetic theory. And this comes from my mind. White Dianetic theory offers that host theory is correct, and that many of the causal aspects of host theory are engrammic in nature and thus can be classified as psychosomatic. The reactive mind can generate an almost limitless supply of ailments out of its raw engrammic material. Think about what I just said. Your reactive mind, your reptilian mind, can generate almost limitless supply of ailments out of its raw engrammic material, the engrams. And the common cold is a classic example. Classic example. Do you know that Dianetic clears don't get colds? They don't. When engrams about colds are lifted, then the person no longer gets colds. No longer gets colds. Like when we don't program ourselves with things like cold and flu season, we don't get colds anymore because there is no cold and flu season. There's a season when a lot of people get engrammic and get sick because they believe it's cold and flu season. Cynthia said to me yesterday, I said, I'm going to be sick on Thanksgiving. It was a joke. She says, you never get sick. And she's right, because I'm a Dianetic clear. I never get sick. I don't get colds. And just like we can lift Ingrams about colds, we can lift Ingrams about disease. We can lift Ingrams about the habits that spoil an individual's host environment, and we can make them nearly impervious to sickness and disease. Jeff, it sounds like you're talking about a miracle. I am. But it's not supernatural. It is an application of your mental faculties. Dianetics is about focusing and freeing human intention. Christianity is about arresting and suppressing human intention. And we'll get to that in just a second. Right now, let me remind you of our great sponsor, Focused Life Force Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is high consciousness on demand, and I guarantee you that if you have Focused Life Force Energy in your life, it'll be much easier for you to get Dianetically clear. Much, much easier. Focused Life Force Energy grounds you when you can't get out and get grounded. We still suggest you get bare feet on the ground, but Focused Life Force Energy gives you a grounding effect. Focused Life Force Energy also gives you EMF mitigation, ladies and gentlemen. Focused Life Force Energy also gives you uptake of the nutrients in your water, uptake of the nutrients in the food that you eat. It also helps your plants. It also helps your animals. It surrounds you. It bathes you in a high consciousness environment. Instead of being covered by the blood of Jesus, which is going to make you broke, busted, and disgusted, cover yourself with Focused Life Force Energy. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Click on the fluffy logo, and you will be very, very happy with the results. Trust me, 100%. 100%. So, White Dianetic theory offers that host theory is correct and that many of the causal aspects of host theory are engrammic in nature. The reactive mind can create an almost limitless supply of material. The common cold's an example. Clears don't get colds. And think of the news that comes on and the commercials that come on. Cold and flu, cold and flu, cold and flu. It is engram producing, and it's very, very effective, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that. Now, let's talk about engrams. Again, engrams and engrams alone contain and control the vast majority of dis-ease cycle of action. What's a dis-ease cycle of action? You know what a dis-ease is. It's a disease. It's a cold. It's anything that puts you out of ease, ladies and gentlemen. It's anything that puts you out of ease. And they're controlled by this engrammic cycle of action. What is the engrammic cycle of action? It's not a stationary bike. It's not a recumbent bike. It's not like that. What it is, ladies and gentlemen, is a easily definable cycle, meaning things occurring in a reoccurring pattern. And that pattern is predisposition, being predisposition to sick, allergy, disease, and then the conduct, the making it happen, and then the conditions, which are the manifestations of the diseases. How many times have you known a mom or a dad that says, oh, well, allergies run in our family. That cancer runs in our family. And the truth is nobody runs in your family. That's why you're all obese and get trouble. Predisposition is like family history. Why do you think the doctors want to know about your family history? Because they want to take the engrams of your forefathers and make them your engrams so they can keep getting paid. Think about that. So they can keep getting paid. If we know what this person has seen manifested as sickness, we can program this person to manifest the same sickness, and we can get paid for it. We can get paid for it. That's predisposition. And then the conduct, You got the symptom, that means you're going to get this. You got the symptom, which means you're going to get that, and you can get paid for that. And then they can say, oh, these conditions show that you got this, and they can get paid for that. They can get paid for that. Many conditions which are termed inherited are also caused by engrams. Well, I know my mom's had that diabetes, so I'm probably going to get that diabetes. That's an engram. Well, you know, high blood pressure runs in our family. No, nobody runs in your family, but that's not the point. You know that high blood pressure, diabetes, we've always been clumsy. Engrams. Engrams are cash cows, Tracy. Engrams predispose persons towards accidents. Well, you know, our family's always been clumsy. We've always had a lot of accidents. We got 2 left feet in our family, because you keep saying you got 2 left feet in your family. Engrams can also predispose people towards infection. Well, you know, we've had many of our people get that AIDS. Ladies and gentlemen, engrams can also predispose you towards habits that create a host environment that's highly susceptible to disease and sickness. Oh, you know, our family, we don't like to drink water. That's why you create a host environment that's highly susceptible to disease and sickness. Well, our family, we like to drink vodka. That's why. You create, alcoholism runs in our family. Drug addiction runs in our family. Why do you think it runs in your family? Because you keep saying it runs in your family. Oh, our family, we love McDonald's. We've always loved McDonald's. Well, that's why you're creating disease, an environment for disease and sickness. And you know, we always got that arthritis. Oh, my arthritis. Why would you say my arthritis? It isn't yours. You don't want it. Well, my arthritis, just like my mama, my grandmama, my great-grandmama, my great-great-great-great-grandmama, my pappy, grandpappy, great-great-grandpappy, pappies, all the way back to the first pappies. We all got arthritis. We all got cancer. It's because you all got engrams that say y'all got cancer. Y'all got arthritis. And y'all got engrams that create a host environment within you that's highly susceptible to disease and sickness. And y'all eat a bunch of sugar, which feeds sickness and diseases. Do you know if you didn't eat no sugar, you wouldn't have no cancer, because cancer eats sugar? Well, Jeff, I don't even eat white sugar. No, everything that has sugar. Bunch of fruit. Look at everything that you have. Glucose, sucrose, any crose, that's sugar. I haven't eaten any sugar in like 6 weeks or so. Maybe 7, 8 weeks. Milk. That's why I'm down almost 30 pounds. I'll talk about the fast a little bit more when I get to my ideal weight. But the idea here is that host theory and Dianetic theory make the most sense for what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Medical study, as we head for home, medical study is full of instances of what is sometimes called the placebo effect. People are given nothing, told they've been given something, and they're healed. This alone demonstrates the power of the mind in healing, ladies and gentlemen. That alone illustrates and demonstrates the power of the mind in healing. They're given something, they're given nothing, told it's something, and they get healed. Happens all the time. So if the mind works to heal, obviously, the contrary is true, and the mind can work to make one sick. In fact, the power of the mind, and in this case, engrams, is so powerful that it can even make medicines and remedies that should be effective ineffective. You can be taking sometimes, let's say you get bit by a snake and they give you the snake anti-venom that should and would eradicate that sickness, but you have said in your mind, oh, that never works on us because you got an Ingram. Oh, that never works on us. Even though you got the right cure for that particular instance, your mind will make it not work. That's how powerful your mind is. Your mind can heal you and your mind can kill you. Why am I always so fat? Because you keep asking that same question. Why can't I ever get a good job? Because you keep asking that same question. Why can't I find a good man? Because you keep asking that question. Why can't I find a good woman? Because you keep asking that question. Why am I so stupid? Because you keep asking that question. You want to turn your life around? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Instead of asking, why am I so fat? Why don't you ask, how do I get to my ideal weight? And then your mind will start giving you the answers to that question. Instead of asking, why can't I get a good job? Why don't you ask, what should I do to get a great job? Instead of asking, why am I so stupid? Why don't you ask, how can I become more intelligent? You see the difference? When you ask a question, your mind starts giving you answers and reasons, and the answers and reasons consolidate and approve and make stronger the answers that they're giving you. So if you ask, why am I so stupid? You're going to get all the reasons why you're so stupid. And some of them are right. They're true, but you can change them and you'll feel even more stupid and you'll get more stupid. But when you ask, how can I become more intelligent? Then guess what? You get a lot of ideas of how to get more intelligent. And just by not asking, why am I so stupid? You become more intelligent. Why am I so fat? No. How do I get to my ideal weight? Just by asking that question to yourself every day, you'll lose 10 or 15 pounds in a year. And Delaney, and the way only Delaney can say it is, if you're tired of being treated like shit, get out of the bathroom. I'm not sure I quite follow, but, and folks, when we're talking about making engrams for ourselves, making ourselves sick, holding ourselves back, Christianity is the greatest villain in this regard. The greatest villain in this regard. Because what does Christianity teach you? Christianity teaches you you're born a sinner. And you're born guilty. And you deserve only poverty and death. I'm just a sinner. All I deserve is a devil's hell. And if you really think that you're just a sinner, and that all you deserve is poverty, and all you deserve is death, and you're a victim, poor me, I'm just trying to hold on till plastic Jesus comes back. Then if you think you're going to be poor, guess what? You're going to be poor. If you think you're deserving of death, guess what? You're deserving of death. If you think you're guilty, then you will be guilty. You'll live guilty, and this is what you expect. So when a Christian gets sick, many times they'll default to a sinner Ingram and conclude they deserve it. Oh, well, I'm just a sinner saved by grace. Must be why I got this arthritis. I'll just have to pick up my cross and carry it. And when you get broke, well, it must be because I'm a sinner. I'm broke. I must have made God mad. I must not have enough faith. So I just got to pick up my cross and carry it. Original sin creates the host environment for sicknesses. Psychological, psychiatric, mental, physical, social, cultural. Christianity was invented to invent the victim mentality. And any branch of Christianity is still a victim mentality. Any branch of Christianity, even those that say they're not Christianity, if it has to do with the Bible, blood, Jesus, Father, Son, angels, demons. It is going to get you sick and keep you sick, and it will kill you one of these days, and it'll bring you back so you can get killed again and again and again and again and again. And that's why the Christians hate Dianetics. That's why the Christians hate white Dianetics so much. Because Christianity is doing everything it can to arrest and suppress human intention. And white Dianetics does everything it can to free and intensify human intention. Can you understand the difference between believing that you were born a sinner, born into a world of sin, shapen with iniquity, all men have sinned and come short of the glory of God, all we deserve is hell? Do you understand how that makes you think? Versus, and you are a sinner because you did bad and Jesus had to die because of you and you're a dirty, rotten sinner. Do you understand that frame of mind that puts you in? Versus the frame of mind that says you're born divine, you're born sovereign, you're born free, you're born good. Everything that's wrong with you is not because of what you've done, but because of something that was done to you. Can you imagine the difference? Religion needs to create repeat customers. It's their business model. White Dianetics wants to create yourself, divine, sovereign, free, and then have you go help other people create themselves to be divine, sovereign, and free. White Dianetics wants to work itself out of a job. Because if we do our job in white Dianetics, then everybody in the whole world could be clear. And then we can move into Scientology, which works with the spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, psychosomatic illnesses in white Dianetics, this is how you create yourself. This is how you build the life that you'll love. Well, Jeff, it's this, it's that. You know what? We got the answers. It works with every single person, every single time, but we can't make you do it and wouldn't even if we could. It's up to you. I can show you how to create yourself, but only you can create yourself. I can bring you to water, but only you can take a drink. I can bring you objective information as your mailman, keeping my pointed rounds, but only you can decide to think. Delaney makes a great point. Religions push dietary medicine and physical health, or they push the opposite of dietary medicine and physical health. And whenever you're in religion, have you noticed? Whenever you have, whenever you're dealing with anything that is religious, it's always food-based. And it's not healthy food. Religion's trying to get you sick, make you gluttonous, keep you guilty, keep you sad, keep you depressed, and keep you thinking that at best you're a sinner saved by grace. And I say, get that con out of my face. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is Create Yourself with White Dianetics. We have been keeping our appointed rounds through rain, snow, sleet, dark of night. We're bringing you the way to get yourself right, but only you can do it, ladies and gentlemen. Only you can do it. Tonight, 10 p.m. Central Time. Get ready for Late Night in the Heartland, bringing you more of the information, bringing you more encouragement, bringing you more optimism, bringing you some stuff we need to be aware of, ladies and gentlemen. On your way out, give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Give it a thumbs down if you hated it. Give it the middle finger if you really want to, but make sure you do the thumbs up or down. Please subscribe to this channel. If you love me, you don't want to miss anything, hit that bell twice. If you hate me, you better keep an eye on me, and I promise you, I am just getting started. So you better keep an eye on me. Hit that bell so you'll know when we're live. We have reloaded. We have been relocked. If you think that we've been on a roll up till now, you ain't seen nothing yet. This channel is about to explode in views, probably in subscribers, and we're about to start bringing you more information. We're already gone on worldwide shortwave. We may even expand that, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come for the Christian Whistleblower, for you, for me. The best is yet to come for this nation. We are the last generation of real humans. And we are about to make this world better than it's ever been, sooner than you can imagine. Take heart, keep the faith, keep believing, because we're on the cusp. The best is yet to come, and won't it be fine? Yes, it will, because we say so, and we're the last generation of real humans, and we are unindoctrinated, and we are getting busy. I'll see you tonight, cousins, at 10 p.m., maybe before then, but for sure at 10 p.m. tonight for Late Night in the Heartland. This is Jeffrey Daugherty. This is White Dianetics, and this is how you create yourself and live the life that you'll love.